recording and over to everyone. Over to you, Chris.
Okay, don't worry about having to leave early, because wittingly or unwittingly, I think I'm going to be covering the most important thing first anyway, and it's not reviews. Okay. Should I just begin now? We're not waiting for anyone else. Just go.
Yeah, just go. People are still going to be dropping in, but we're recording the session so they can go back to the start if they want to rewatch anything.
Okay, fine. Okay, it's a weird topic. When I was asked to do this, I've been asked before, and I always say, well, gosh, it's so simple, it's so boring. You know, people fall asleep. It's just point and click. Why do they need to be told? And then occasionally I'll get a question from a client where they'll have just completely not understand how to do something completely basic. So maybe I just have to remove my perception of this thing. And what I'm going to do is literally take you into Google My Business and open everything up. Just open all the little bits and show you what they do and what they can't do. And in each of the little bits, and then we'll at the end of all that we'll have the questions, and hopefully there'll be something. Even if you know a little bit about one of the little boxes, you won't know something about one of the other boxes, and everyone will get something out of it. I think I'm going to start with a slide here. Better start sharing my screen. Let's see. Can everybody see my 2023 local search ranking factors?
Yep.
Yeah.
All good,
Okay.
Chris.
I just grabbed this from Whitespark, who are one of there's 2 or 3 companies out there in the world that like specialize in bright local. We use them for our reports, Whitespark, and every year Whitespark will do one of these surveys of 1,500 SEO experts and come up with these local rank factors. And they're pretty accurate as far as I'm concerned. The different places you can go to for a ranking. I'm happy to go with this one as being an industry standard. And what you're seeing there is the local pack finder versus the local organic ranking factors. And for those who don't know, the local pack finder is the map. We also call it the map pack. It's those 3 little rankings that appear below the organics in many searches, particularly if you put a local modifier in there. Everything that comes below that are the local organic ranking factors, the organic SERPs, as we call them, search engine ranking. And you will see that for the local pack, 32% GBP signals, 16% review signals. So 50% of your rankings in that spot where people are fighting over those 3 pieces of real estate come from your Google My Business profile. That's huge. So it's something you can never ignore there, especially now. Well, about 10 years ago, that space had 10 spots in it. It then went down to 7, and then dropped to 3, and now they've added local service ads, which might be something to consider if you're in a tight market like a London or something like that. If you're not in such a tight market, it is still possible, very, very possible, to get in those top 3. And part of what we're going to be talking about today is how to increase your chances of being relevant, having a keyword relevance on your site to appear in those 3 positions. But you can see even for local organic ranking factors in the wheel to the right. Let's see, GBP, that's 9%, review signals, so that's coming up to about 15%. Obviously, that is not a determining factor in how you're going to rank in those local search terms like, solicitor near me or solicitor in Bristol, the rankings that'll come below the map pack. About 15% of that will also be influenced by your decisions that you've made with your Google My Business profile. So for either reason, it can't be ignored. It should be addressed, and it should be optimized. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I think the best thing I can do at this point is to then go into how you get Just out of curiosity, in your screen, can you guys all see my long list of faces over to the right, or are you just seeing my screen?
Just seeing your screen.
Okay, perfect. It's not getting in the way then.
No.
If you well, actually, I'll show you I've got another version. This is logged in. If you are logged in, this is I'm logged into Google, so I'm logged into Gmail, and all of the accounts we manage are under this account here. And if I were to, for instance, from here, put in my if you're a multi-location brand and you've got 3 locations, you would have to type in such and such solicitors in your location, Colchester, whatever it is, to have a chance of the edit box appearing right here. But normally it does not, which is why I have this was one of the URLs that I included. That's a very handy to have, and it comes up simply from a Google My Business search. And the very top listing there will take you to where you'll be able to manage your individual listing, so that when you actually click on the Manage Now button, you will then be taken to the next page, which will look like this one.
I've just put that link in the chat, so if everyone wants to copy and paste that somewhere or have it to hand.
When you put in your, you'll be taken to here, and you will literally only see a couple of one or the exact number of locations that you have. Silas at WSP has allowed us to use WSP as an example. This is what you would see if you had 4 locations and you came to Google My Business. You would then get the choice of the locations that you wanted to then manage. When you click that, you're taken back to what is the normal SERP page, and nobody can see this area except you. This is rather confusing. It's rather new. All of this stuff that is now taking place on the SERP page used to take place behind the scenes. And I personally found it much more intuitive and easy to use. But this is what we're dealing with now. What we're going to do is actually open up each one of those individual boxes, and I'll explain to you how these individual boxes here populate what is your knowledge panel here. This is what you get for your Google My Business investment. This knowledge panel here. Okay.
Chris, before we go into any of the sections, we actually had a question submitted beforehand that was asking if, for example, your law firm is based in multiple locations, should you be creating a Google Business profile for each of those locations? So obviously you can see on the screen it's WSP Solicitors Gloucester. Is that something you'd recommend everyone's doing if they've got multiple offices?
Absolutely, we do it. We do it with every single client. You see, Gloucester, Dursley. We do that for every single client.
And the information
it's technically, I should say, Google frowns on keyword stuffing of those URLs. So, but through application of testing the terms solicitors and location, we have not had any penalties. What I would say would be gaming the system would be, if you're not a family law solicitor with family law in your brand and your URL, don't put WSP Family Law Solicitors in Stroud. Do not do that. That could definitely be considered gaming, because the branding on the website is WSP Solicitors. We've determined that you can absolutely get away with putting the location modifier, particularly with multi-location businesses, but I would not want to push it, and I don't take chances with with other people's property, other clients' property. So we've never pushed it, but I've read and seen evidence of like service terms being considered a bridge too far. Unless you're actually a family law specialist, like Stowe Family Law or something like that, stay away from the services. Just put little hyphen in your location and get out having achieved a fair value success. You will have a little bit of a leg up over the companies that don't have that location modifier in it. Be happy with what you got and get out without a penalty. That's my strong suggestion.
Okay, great. Penny's raised her hand. Do you want to come off mute, Penny, and ask a question if you've got it?
Sorry, I am terrible at Zoom, as you can probably tell by my up and downy on the old raise your hand there. So we're in London, and obviously London's broken up into boroughs. We've got 2 offices, one in central London and one in North London. So we literally our taglines, as it were, is, you know, Ria Barker Gillette Solicitors - North London, Ria Barker Gillette Solicitors - Central London. Is that the best way to do it, or should we be more specific, like, you know, Ria Barker Gillette Marylebone, Ria Barker Gillette Boreham Wood?
Okay, now your answer is unique to you because you're London. If it was something smaller, I might say, okay, well, you know, that you know, but just the London neighborhoods are pretty darn big. And you know, I would do some testing, like what comes up when you put, you know, your brand London. Are you there? Are you in the running? Is it you know, or when you put your neighborhood, you know, does that get a little bit? It probably will do a little bit more traction. And could you get even, you know, could you encourage that by the branding in your Google My Business? My gut would tell me that for London, the neighborhood is more important than a London, unless you have a very high domain authority.
Yeah, so we've noticed, particularly with the North London, we've definitely noticed more inquiries coming in since we opened the North London office through Google. So I think it's definitely having some resonance there. But with the Central London sort of, you know, the market's so competitive, you know, it's like, even, you know, you have the City Law Firm. So do you put City Law Firm, or do you put, you know, Farringdon Law Firm sort of thing? So finger in air sort of approach, give it a try, change the name, give it a try, change the name.
City law firms can be the hardest of any law firms. The reason being, obviously, you're dealing with very high domain competition. They're packed to the gills in the same building many times, which is the biggest handicap you can have in local, is to share office space with another law firm. It really is. The gold standard is your own individual, unique brick and mortar with its own unique phone number. Manned 24 hours a day. Serviced offices technically aren't even legal. Google doesn't like them or want them. So in my experience, when I get a City of London law firm, my heart kind of sinks, because I know it's going to be an uphill battle the whole way, just because of the nature of that beast. So but for your North London one, you know, Cricklewood, Northborough, and anything like that, just make sure that your branding is kind of like the same on the contact page.
Yeah, the branding is completely uniform.
Yeah, and it's fine. I would absolutely like this WSP Solicitors Gloucester. I don't want to say something stupid. I'll just use my own head, but we haven't had a single issue with Google for putting those location modifiers on multi-location clients.
Yeah, fab. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Just be careful with services. Don't go for too much.
No.
But that. Okay, so here we are.
Good question, Penny. Sorry, Chris, I'm just going to stop you again, because following on from that conversation, we've had a few more questions come in. I actually had one myself. So with Penny's for example, North London, and could they do a Google business profile for all 4 of the examples Penny gave, or would Google penalize you? So if you did North London and I don't know what's in North London. I think
Right.
so Marylebone as
You
well.
asking, can I have more than one listing for the same location?
Same address, yeah.
Absolutely no way.
Okay.
Absolutely forget about it. You could wind up getting all of your listings banned.
Okay.
You know,
What about
that's a pretty cardinal sin with Google. Would you know, absolutely be penalized. You're probably not even, it's probably harder than you think to even do it, because it'll already know that the phone numbers and locations are the same. It'll probably slap a duplicate listing on your second or third attempt to add another one to it. It's going to know. If for any reason, you know, over time you managed to build them more than one up and doing the like subtle editing months or years apart, and now you're actually sitting there holding two for the same place, God help you. I mean, I just absolutely say no. You do not ever try to have two. It's to the point where and I'll give you another example. Say Google finds out you've been gaming the system with one of them, and it penalizes you by closing that listing. Leave that bloody listing alone. Do not try to reopen it. They'll slap you even harder and might come after your other listings if you try to do that. If you're in limbo and they're thinking about, you know, if it's in, you know, the referee mode, don't reapply. You know, wait until, you know, you find out what's going on with that listing that's in limbo. Don't ever go around their back. Literally, we've had experience with people who've done that very thing. Be very careful with your one listing. It's precious to you. You could lose it.
Is that the same with sub-brands? So say a firm has a sort of sister service maybe, and they've got a separate website for that, but the addresses and phone numbers and contact details are all the same. Could you have two Google Business profiles then, or is it still?
Technically, but I've also seen where Google has denied those. The thing that you would want would be to have some kind of a difference in the address, a different floor, for instance. You definitely want a different phone number. Have to have a separate website. But even so, because some of the stuff is automated, I have seen Google just reflexively declare that your second listing is a duplicate of the first listing, because it sees that the NAP, which is what we're talking about in local search, is getting uniformity between your name, address, and phone number. The NAP, the NAP, it's going to pick up that they're the same. It's automated. It's going to automatically deny it. Then you're going to have to spend up to several hours on the phone with somebody in Delhi trying to do something about it, and they may or may not do anything about it. But to lessen the chance that you're going to fall into the automated foul zone, try to have differences, especially phone number, floor, website for sure. Don't think you can game that without your own unique website.
So Simon has said that they have 3 offices in a small location and found that we have lost the knowledge GMB panel on the right, and instead we have all listed in the map pack. Do you have any insight into why that might be?
I don't know the full details, but you see this here. You all can see WSP Solicitors Gloucester, right? Multi-location location. Now I told you, if you have multi-locations, you might need to put the modifier in. It's gone. It's not gone. It's just it needs a modifier. Okay. So it not being there doesn't mean it's gone. And that would definitely, if you're a one location business, then probably your brand will be enough. But even so, Google just does its own kind of weird thing sometimes, which is why I provided you with that other address. This one, where you go over here and hit manage, and you'll see the listing there.
That's the link.
I can't even explain why it's hit or miss sometime. Earlier today, I put in our conscious solutions. It was offered a whole bunch of choices, redid it later, it doesn't come up. So anyway, I always keep that one handy.
Great. And James, related to location again, has said that most addresses in London just say London rather than the neighbourhood. For example, the EC2A postcode is in Hackney, but the address is just London. Would it be problematic having the real address on site being London, but Hackney in the business profile?
Well, there'll be Hackney in the NAP on the contact page anyway, won't there? Hackney, London, it'll be there. Should be. London's way too big to be putting up an address without a Hackney in it. So you should be fine. Because if anybody comes to the contact page, they'll see the Hackney.
Okay, great. Hopefully that answers James's question, but please
be very careful. Like I don't want to. I've got a client who's located in a certain place, and they've asked us to get rid of that place and say that they're in another place, which is 10 miles down the road. And I knew as soon as we were asked, I was like, oh God, this isn't going to happen. Anyway, it's not happening. But you're not gaming if you are in Hackney and you want to tell the world you're in Hackney. Although quite often this comes up. We don't want clients to know we're in Hackney. We want them to think we want to be more global, and we just want to show London. And Google might just reflexively keep throwing Hackney into your listing because that's where you are. So there's no one size fits all answer for locations. If you step back, they do kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why Google would agree or not agree to something. And London being kind of unique, like for most things, and I mean even big things, the city is fine. Like such and such solicitors, Edinburgh or something is fine. I mean, that is what most people do. I kind of treat London as slightly different because it is a couple cities kind of crammed into each other with those neighborhoods, and that's why I depending on your size, depending on your domain authority, and depending on the little research you do, like I said, with the searches and the SERPs, what could use just a little bit of bump up to make me in the running. That's where I might consider those neighborhoods.
So domain authority and domain rating is important if you're competing with another law firm who's in the same building as you.
No, hopefully you're not competing against a law firm in the same building as you. Domain authority is important when you're competing with anyone, anywhere
mm-hmm.
in your target market.
But
it will be
are in the same building as another law firm apart from move office?
Well, I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, I don't like to sugarcoat things, and it's really not ideal to be sharing offices with other law firms. The reason being is that Google tries to be fair, and it will cycle through which one of you it'll kind of display to a search query. And God forbid you're sharing an office with somebody with 250 5-star Google reviews, and you've got either none or a bunch of bad reviews, because that's going to come into I mean, it's good not to get into a fight you can't win. So
okay.
and that's one of those fights where you're already going in handicapped, and like I said, God forbid you don't have some dirty laundry that you're trying to hide while they're just immaculate conception, just boom, everything perfect and huge domain and loved by millions, and you're in the same building trying to compete with them. I mean, you've literally got your hands tied behind your back at that point. So I mean, that's just a truthful answer. I don't like to sugarcoat things. You are at a disadvantage. I don't care if you're in a small town. If you're in a small town and you're right next door to another law firm, Google is still going to have issues and like guilt trips with itself over which one it should display. And it tends to do kind of like this, all things else being equal.
Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to discuss some more ways to optimize your Google business profile. So maybe that's some factors that could be implemented to maybe push the law firm above their competitors if they are in the same building or next door to one another. So should we maybe move on to the next bit you were going to talk about before I interrupted?
Are we done with questions for a bit?
Yeah, I think we've covered most things for now.
Okay. So what I think is the most important thing Going back a couple of years, my colleagues and I that spend most of our time in local, we're starting to notice that the services that in the back end of your profile, we'll go there in a second. I'm going to open this up and show you. In the services, well, actually, I'll just start now. These areas here, originally, going back a year or two ago, were custom. The user had to put them in. In fact, you still have that ability down, coming soon. It must be coming soon. There it is. Add more services. Which, if I click that, I can create a custom service. Now, what we noticed was we didn't really get a lot of action out of that until about a year and a bit ago. Google started suggesting services, or even more so, giving you new services. In other words, scraping your website, finding keywords, and then saying, oh, by the way, we've added these services to you. Will you please confirm them? I'll show you a picture. It was actually harder to do. I had to go collect some screenshots and put them in a Word doc, because most of the clients I was looking through, because part of our service every month is that we do this. We go through and we open all these things up and we confirm these services. So it's actually harder than I thought to find one, but I'll show you what I mean. Once those suggested scrapes, Google suggested services started coming up as an option, and we started confirming them, we started noticing immediate dramatic effects on rankings and relevance, and coming up in more search queries, which is why we immediately instituted this as part of our monthly health checks. We go through and we check the services. You can never turn your back on them. You might go a month or two without any more suggested services, and then there might be a raft more. Now, this is great, but I'm going to also talk about some of the dangers that you have with this. For instance, let me just briefly say, I'll go into the negatives, and then I'll show you some of the positives. You might suddenly wake up one day and find out you're getting a lot of legal aid queries because Google's decided that you offer free legal advice, or it could decide that pro bono, legal aid, notary public. These are some of the ones that have come up where they have absolutely no relevance to the client on site. Pro bono, when I did a site search, the word pro and another word was all that was on the site, and Google took the pro and decided you did pro bono. Free initial consultation was turned into an automated free legal advice. Notary, in one case, a former employee whose LinkedIn had the previous employer, and in her bio said she was now studying to be a notary. Google took those points and to this day keeps suggesting notary to, on this other client. So it's very well worth looking at your services every month, both to stop yourself from being, declared to be offering free services you don't do or whatever, and also to get the positive experiences of confirming keywords that Google itself thinks that you rank for. There's nothing better that you can do with a service than to confirm what Google thinks it knows about you, because that's worth much more than you telling them what you think you're about and it going, well, I don't see any evidence of that. Now, again, that's also an excellent argument for improving the relevance of the service pages and contact pages on your website, so that when the bots come around, they can scrape those words. They don't know the subtle nuances of the other things that you do within family law when you just say you do family law. Financial consent orders, for instance. That's a specific part. Make sure that word's available so that when it comes through, it can, But that's always been true of SEO anyway. But particularly when you want Google to scrape your site and find those words, more reason and justification for improving your website pages. Now, let me just briefly show you a couple of screenshots here. Where am I? Yep, there we go. Okay, so when I went into this just now, you can see here, you've got all these different options. Main categories and things that go below it. Okay. Now, this is one of the pains in the backside, is that you've got to go all the way through to each one, check that nothing's been, see, there we are. There we are right there. So if that comes up, you want to go back to your website and make sure that those terms, before you agree to them, say, make sure you want them or move on. Because, for instance, you do immigration, you definitely want to say, yeah, I'm going to agree to that. You don't do pro bono, you don't want to agree to that. And here's the pain in the butt, is that every time you agree to that, you'll go back to the previous page, it'll reset to the top, and you'll have to drag all the way down through until you get to the next subsection. Go agree or not agree. Even if there's nothing, you have to click the arrow back to go back, and it'll reset. And so it really is, it is annoying. It's very annoying to have to go through this clunky process. There is no quicker way about it. You literally just have to scroll down and be very careful. You can do like Command F, search terms to like kind of help, like look for the pro bono or whatever that, the terms that you want to make sure aren't there. But I don't completely trust that either. I like to actually go down, pull through, open everything, make sure I agree with everything. Now, one of the best things you can do is to find one of these and to either confirm it or to deny it. This one up here is a suggestion. Nothing's happened with that one. This is one that Google made live. Okay. So, you either want to say yes or no to this. If you're not doing free legal advice, you want to get in there pretty quick. I've actually had a couple of clients, call up and say, we're getting all this, people think we offer legal aid and we don't offer legal aid. And, it's because Google just off their own back has gone in and decided to declare to the world that that's what you did. So going in there and either saying, yes, you do, or no, we don't, as quickly as possible is a very good thing to save your peace of mind. Most of the time, you'll only see a couple like this, but this is your Christmas day. You really hope one day Google will come along and give you a whole bunch of things that you agree with. And, in one fell swoop, you can say, hey, we've got a bunch more certified, relevant keywords, and, just say yes to that. Absolutely. I'm going to take them. That's a great day. I know I sound like a bit of a geek, but like, that's a great day in SEO when you come upon one of those where it's a whole bunch of things you can confirm. Okay, maps, but I'll be coming back to that. I'm literally just talking about the services at this point. So I said at the beginning, I'm going to talk about what I think is the most important thing that you can do if you only have time to do one thing a month, and that's to go into your services and make sure that you agree with all the suggestions and disagree with things that you don't agree with. I've seen immediate effects on rankings, relevance, coming up for more search terms simply by doing that than probably anything else that we can really deal with. Remember I said 50% of ranking there is going to be keywords, and 50, about a third of that is the reviews. So reviews and services are a huge part of your ranking, and quite frankly, you don't have as much power over reviews. I know we're going to be coming to that like in a second. There's plenty of questions here about how to get rid of a 1 or 2 star review. We'll talk about that, but you've got less power. You've got ultimate power over controlling your relevance. What keywords you'll come up with in services. Okay, so now let me just back up to the beginning and just show you how all this stuff here, all this data here, is coming from editing your profile. So again, you want to make sure that law firm, or if you're a single lawyer, you might say lawyer, your primary category should either be legal services or law firm. If you can put, this is a brief point. A while back, it used to be much easier to get 100% completed profile. Now you cannot get this unless you're also using pay-per-click ads. It's impossible to be complete. But another element of that is completing all this information as well. Okay, so on this, this is quite important. Did I just lose that? I did. About you details, including the map, your opening hours, holiday hours. I cannot explain why the legal industry is given the option to add restaurant and hospitality extras, but it is. I think it's a bug. This little section here, these extra mores from the business, at the moment they don't do much. We don't worry about them very much. I'll open up a couple of them and show you what they do. They're things like wheelchair access, LGBT friendly, things like that. Wheelchair ramps, things like that can all go in here. And I've seen them testing, particularly in America, and so far exclusively in Google Maps listings. Depending on the search query, there's some little icons that they might add to your listing, or a little line of text at the bottom of the listing, you know, where it'll say, you know, we provide online services or LGBT friendly or something like that. It's not a huge thing right now. It's nothing to lose sleep over, and filling out this section has nothing to do with your 100% completeness. However, let me just show you, you know, what wheelchair accessible, gender neutral toilets, things like that. Appointment required. Now, this is a fairly important one. A lot of people, particularly going back to COVID times, had appointments required. So it's worth going back and revisiting and making sure if you've still got appointments required that you've turned that off, for instance. Contact is literally just your information. If you're a multi-location, it should be pointed at the contact page. Okay. If you're a single location, I can very much see the argument of pointing it at your home page. This one here, all right, this is another thing that's definitely where you don't have to check this part every month. Although I have seen Google come and move the darned map pin for you. Thank you very much. I mean, literally, there's nothing they won't meddle in. But you can, and you should, go in and make sure that you are happy and that map pin is placed exactly where it belongs. Okay, don't settle for close or next door. If there's a bunch of terraces, make sure that you've placed that map pin. If you have to go into Street View and in Google Maps or whatever, do that. Make sure that this map pin is exactly correctly located. That's not something that you should have to reset very often. However, you definitely want to make sure that that's done right. Hours, again, the good thing about holiday hours is that all works around Christmas and all the rest of it. The mores are the services, the extra services that were okay. Any questions about that part? Because that is also pretty important. And for the most part, you won't have to change things every month, but that's like in the initial setup. You make sure you've got all that right, but it is worth making sure that you check back. Any questions about that? Or I'll move on to reviews.
No, we've not had anything in the chat. So yeah, I think let's move on to reviews because we had 4 or 5 questions submitted beforehand about that.
Okay, now reviews. Yes, you can get reviews removed. No, you cannot remove reviews you don't agree with. I like to tell people that I believe a 1 or 2 star review is an excellent learning opportunity that you need to go back and, you know, retrain staff, for instance, rather than spin and hide it. And Google does not want to help you spin and hide it. So if you've really earned that bad review and that bad review is going to stay there, the best thing you can do is to get new 5-star reviews above that. That'll kind of push it down and it won't be visible, because as you know, or hopefully do know, this section, you know, one of the things you don't want is a couple of 1-star reviews here. at the top of your pile. But if you've earned them, they're going to stay. Google's not going to get rid of them. So your only option is to replace them. And we can definitely talk about how to encourage reviews and what's legal to do and what's not legal to do. I did actually include, I think this is a very good article on options for removing reviews. How to delete a Google review. The reasons, and those are your reasons. That section right there is you have to have a legal justification. You can't just say please remove it. Let me give you some examples of reviews that I've definitely seen removed, and they include the swearing, ranting. If the reviewer was not your client, that one also works. This has come up a few times with conveyancing, where they're unhappy that your conveyancing took too long or something, but they weren't your client. You weren't working for them. You were working for your client. A lot of times Google will go in there and remove that one because it's off the topic.
Chris, is there something specific you need to report it for in that case? Because a couple of people have said that they have reported reviews from people they've had no dealings with, but Google hasn't taken the review down.
Yes, and I've also seen them take it down. You have to remember Google's becoming more and more automated now. A lot of these decisions are automated. You might even have to. It used to be, you could easily call Google. Now that's really hard to call Google, and a lot of your only options now are to get into the Google help forums and to hope that you get one of the the Google referees to take up your case, like hat in hand. It can take hours. It's not ideal. So definitely don't waste your time doing this unless you think you've got a shot. Don't waste your time on I don't like the review, please get rid of it. But if you think you've got a shot at it, then you can go through it. Go for it. This article here has got some excellent tips. These fake engagements, impersonation, these are your options. There's no definition. There's no definite rule. Like I said, I've seen them remove a review because it wasn't the person's client. I've seen them not review because they decided not to. I think that has to do with Google automations. But
are there any third-party?
Not that easy. You've got more of a chance of using that highfalutin, right to be forgotten stuff, than removing a review that you don't like. But it's still worth trying if you think that you fall within one of these criterias.
Mm-hmm. Are there any third-party companies that can remove negative Google reviews, or ones that are
there are firms claiming they can do that, and it's not cheap, and we don't recommend it or have used it. You're more than welcome to try, see how you get on. Don't come back to me complaining that you've lost 100 or 200 quid trying to do something, because I'm going to say anything is worth trying. I'm not going to say that it's going to work. Okay. And, ultimately, if you can spend a couple hundred quid and somebody does some shady stuff and gets it gone, I guess it's worth it. That, I would say, would be worth a try. I would not say it was worth gaming to earn fake reviews to replace the bad review. I'll go into that more in detail. But it's not easy. It's a sticky thing. But I like to say, I loathe spam. If someone's earned a bad review, I'd prefer that they'd go off and fix the broken problem. If that's been earned, do some training. Make sure you turn it into the straw that woke up the camel's back, and everything gets better. And so you start earning some good reviews. But anyway, this is a very good article. You can go through, it gets quite scary, these forms. A lot of times you've got to provide documentation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No one can do it but you. It's going to take time and effort. But all these are screenshots of the behind the scenes process. It's all automated, and at the end of it, it's a bit of a crapshoot. Is it going to work? No promises, but this is the Google recommended step-by-step process to apply for removing a bad review.
And what about responding to negative reviews? Do you have any advice or best practices on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Reply. Google likes to see you reply to both good and bad reviews. I think actually, yes, I think I did. I've got an example I saved. There we go. I think this is an excellent example of a good reply. Nothing's been admitted to. There's no mea culpa. I think it's a great one. As a business, we strive to provide high standards of service to all our prospects. And it doesn't even say, but we fell through with you. It doesn't, it sounds like a politician's response, which is, but it ticks the boxes perfectly in Google's eyes. Your feedback has been taken on board. That last sentence, that works. We'd love it if you contact us, so we can discuss this further, would work. But anyway, it's a non-committal apology. I think it ticks all the boxes. It doesn't have to be a book. That's an example of an excellent response to a 1-star review.
Great, thank you. Maybe we can send that screenshot to people in the follow-up email.
What's that?
We'll send this screenshot to people in the follow-up email so they've got something to sort of follow if they're responding to bad reviews. And
notice it's a month ago. The negative review was a month ago. There's not a couple of months separation. As soon as possible, that answer was dropped into the mix. So that's the best you can do. Quite frankly, I mean, Google reviews, it's a dangerous thing. Imagine being so small, so pathetic. This review, I contacted him, was redirected to the main switchboard to give my details and told them to get back. He 1-star review. Honestly, talk about first world problems, but that's the world we live in. People are going to give you 1-star reviews for like stuff that isn't even, So all I can say is you can't live with them. You can't live without them. This Google thing. And so you've got to be prepared that it's not always going to go your way. Is there any way to push up the positive and reviews that you like the most on your profile? Nope. In what order do Google lay out the most recent? Nope. There's no way that you can edit it. Get the good reviews to appear higher than the negative reviews. Does the thumbs up button there on that 1-star review, will it push it up higher if more people like it? Or images tend to take a comment or a review and make it stay longer. For instance, the last thing you want is a 1-star review with an image, for instance. But maybe replies with images can help. The best thing you can do to get it, a 1-star review could be around for months. Near the top. One of the best things you can do is naturally and organically begin pushing it down. Okay, with 5-star reviews, naturally acquired, not gained, not family, friends. I strongly, absolutely strongly. We'll talk a little bit more about reviews, but I strongly advise against gaming your reviews. Not that you can't go after reviews, but I'm talking gaming, faking your reviews. Don't do it. Do not do it. What about asking clients to include keywords that the law firm wants to rank for in their reviews? Can that help or hinder SEO? Possibly. Yes, I've seen articles saying yes. I've seen articles saying no. The most important thing is the 5 stars. You can play around with that, but then again, you're also making it more clunky. You know, I mean, imagine, I mean, there you are holding out your hand, begging for a review, and then you're going to ask him to keyword stuff it for you as well. I mean, how pathetic is that? I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to be that person. I'd feel really small, you know. I mean, just if you've got that client that you know you've got to change. I mean, because you're already extending yourself, you're taking a big risk, you're stepping out and you're asking for the review. Just be grateful they're going to do it, you know. I mean, imagine coming back and saying, "Oh, can you make sure you keyword stuff for me?" You know, which would be something that would be easier to do with like a friend or family member. True, but like, you know, you're dealing with semi-strangers here because these are real reviews. So I leave that up to you. I am naturally chronically shy. I'm a confirmed introvert, and the very thought of asking a virtual stranger these kind just makes me mortified. So maybe I'm coloring it with more shame than is warranted, because I know I couldn't do it.
I suppose if they're a long-standing client, you've worked with them on multiple cases, you've got that good relationship with them, you might be able to sort of slip that into conversation.
Yeah, fine.
And if they're happy with the service, I think they'll probably be more inclined to say yes and add in what you would like them to.
It's not even the most important thing. It really isn't. But fine, you know, if you want to go through it, the most important thing is that your 5-star reviews are going to push the 1-star down.
Great.
That's the main thing, because it is a ranking experience, but it's also a user experience in that a user experience being a conversion factor. You know, I mean that is, you know, that's an ever-present strong advertisement for, you know, the quality of your service. So, you know, it could be the deciding factor whether or not they pick up the phone, you know, for instance. Now, did we, yeah. So I can report the review here if I think that's, you know, if I think it's a bad one. Now I need to be logged in. I'm not logged into that one, but right here there'll also be the reply where I can reply to these immediately.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we've focused a lot on Google and Google reviews, but what about Trustpilot reviews, review solicitors, reviews on other search engines?
Fine, but the most important review to Google is Google review. Okay, so that should be your focus. Now, you know, you can treat other review solicitors and things like you can treat those as helpful conversion factors. They're not going to be ranking factors, but they could be conversion factors. In other words, signals that send further confirmation to clients. However, most of those can be gamed, can be curated. You know, you can actually select which ones that you're going to keep and which you're going to lose, and so they are ultimately spun, you know, spun fake numbers. So they're not as valuable to Google, nor are they as valuable to users who know that they can be curated. You know, a lot of those things aren't any more real than anything else, because they're curated, whereas Google's are not curated. So my best answer would be, you know, both are important. One for rankings, maybe one to help with your conversions and user experience. You can, using APIs and you can add these to your site. There's a you know, little review widgets that you can have attached to your website. Some of those I've noticed mess up a site's core web vital scores. They move and they shift around. So there's a penalty in play to even have them. I'm not going to say don't have them, because it could be that deciding factor, you know, a good strong review number. So do it if you want to, you know, having the extra ones. But what we're talking about here today is Google My Business and why it's important for ranking in the Google SERPs. Mm-hmm. And your review solicitors isn't going to have anything to do with that, though it could have other beneficial effects, like I said, in a conversion factor through, you know, user experience and, you know,
And does it matter if reviews aren't verified, Chris, on Google reviews and business
Well,
profiles?
that's part of it. You know, not verified and curated reviews are not treated the same by Google or even by most human beings. You know, they can look nice, but have you ever seen anybody, you know, displaying review solicitors with a bad review score? No. You know, but they've got hundreds of them. You know, that's the main thing. So yeah, by all means, play around with them, use them. But I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about ranking in Google with Google My Business, and those won't really affect that. It's another conversation. We've got many clients that do use review solicitors, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm just saying it's not going to get you in the local map pack.
Can you import Trustpilot reviews into Google? Is that true?
Not that I know of. I've not heard that. But to be honest, yeah, I don't think so, unless something's changed recently that I don't know about. I don't believe so.
Okay, great. I'm just conscious that we're nearly out of time. We will carry on the recording and Chris will carry on running through the other bits that he's picked out that he thinks are important. But if you do need to leave the call, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much for joining the session, and we'll send you over the full recording once we stop it. But if you have got time to stay on, we'll carry on with what Chris is running through.
Okay, shall I move on?
Yep.
Okay. What have I done? There we are. There we go. Yeah, sorry, confused myself there. Okay, so that's reviews, messages. That's where you're going to get your. I think I put the thing. You know, is chat the right thing for your business? Now I know we're running out of time, so I'm just going to give a quick answer to this. If you don't reply to a question within 24 hours, Google will just come in and turn it off anyway. Okay. So this is mostly to do with resource. Do you have the financial and manpower resources to be able to monitor this thing? You will. You know, we turned it on as a test. Had a kind of a spam salesy question we didn't reply to, and it was immediately turned off by Google. I mean, that fast. It's just one. We didn't reply to one message, and it was turned off. Now, obviously, it didn't affect us in any way. We don't really feel like this has anything to do with us and the way that we market ourselves. However, you know, you could, particularly if you had large numbers of staff or juniors or, you know, apprentices that you know, you had somebody that could reply, get back, or at least alert those who need to. But when you get a message, the email that's associated with managing your listing will get a message that you've had a chat, and so you can go and respond to it. I'm not going to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. Just that I wouldn't bother turning it on unless you know that you're going to be able to look after it. Okay. And look after it responsibly, and going forward, for like I said, just forget one for 24 hours and you come back and it's turned off. Okay. So I think there's much bigger fish to fry. Like for instance, I would put a chat on my website before I would turn this chat on, for instance. You know, if I had somebody serious enough that they were on my website, you know, and the great thing about those is you can turn the little bot on, and you know, and somebody's always going to be there, you know, on. So and there are things you can do with APIs with Google's as well, but you know, there's money to be spent, you know, in certain automations and all the rest of it, and that, you know, that the hows, wherefores, why-fores, and costs is something you'd want to have with maybe one of the production members, you know, of our staff who would know more about that, how-tos and the mechanics of, you know, using the automated features of this. But without those, it's manual. You need a body and you need to be there. So it's not a yes, it's not a no. Up to you.
If you've got live chat on your website already, is Google Live Chat something you should be using instead? Obviously, for Google Business Profile, no.
You might be able to link those two up with an API in some way or another. Because I know there's automated ways that you can get that to, or you could have it automated, like through it out like in your phone. It was separate. There are options. There's more than one option for things you can do, but they cost money, they cost time, they take coding, anything to do. You know, whether or not your chat app is on your website, or you're automating some, you know, parts of what Google's doing, it's going to cost money. It's a resource heavy thing, both in finances and time, body, man hours, you know, stuff like that. I personally find that, but I'm old school. I find all this automated stuff. I like people. I like dealing with real people. I don't like the auto chat body conversations, the AI stuff. But that's just me. But let's move on from this, because I don't consider that to be very important. Photos are a great thing. Once a year, an excellent way to keep your profile fresh is to add some new photos, some new staff. You know, freshen up your outdoor photo. I mean, a great thing would maybe be, you know, particularly if you've got anything photogenic, you know, photographs of the front of your office in different seasons, stuff like that, where you've done very little effort, but you're sending that signal that, you know, you've got a very active profile. Performance.
Is that where, sorry, Chris, we had a question about the 360-degree videos of the workplace. That used to be something Google Business Profile liked. Is that still the case in the photo section?
Yes, although it's not really aimed. You see, it's not really aimed at the legal industry. It's really more designed for, you know, restaurants and places like that. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. It's grands, you know. You know, but if you have that extra money to throw around and you've actually got a premises that you want to show off, then I would see no harm in doing it. It's certainly not something you'd want to like tighten the belt and invest in if it's going to, you know, if it's going to cost you a decision between, you know, investing in one option or another. And I wouldn't pick that. But like I said, if you've got the extra funds and you're happy to show what you've got, I'm not, you know, a lot of times, you know, we're not happy to show what we've got. So case by case, that's not a make or break for me. Performance, if you want to look in here, you're more than happy, welcome to look in. This is just some of the metrics on interactions with that listing. Okay. Advertising, obviously that takes you to setting up pay-per-click. Okay. I know there was a question about products. Now, should we use products? Now, I think I recently read something talking people trying out services instead of products, or in addition to products. We don't use them. I don't use them on a single client. Part of the reason being is that really to use products. I can. Okay, I'm not going to confirm this. You want an image of your wrench. You want the name of your wrench. You need the category it belongs to. You need the price, a good description, the product's landing page. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that you really does scream product, not service. And you know, particularly the price thing. Like if you're not going to put the price for that thing, and don't even bother. So we don't use them. I'm not saying I recommend using them or not using them. Literally because we just don't. So I don't have a lot of experience. I've not seen accounts penalized for using them incorrectly. We don't use them. My intuition, in that, the way they're displayed is that, divorce would sit very funnily next to like other images of like bicycles or anything. It's just it's an odd thing. You're more than welcome to play around with them. We don't, and I don't actually have any plans. Because this thing is an ever change. I know Google well enough to know as soon as I invest my time and energy into doing that, a little ticker will go off in Google's algorithm, and you'll get penalized if it's not a real product. That's just how they work. You're more than welcome to play around with it, test it, but I'm very happy with the services coming up, which the end result of those services are those darkened, highlighted terms in a search query result that comes up. Divorce solicitor comes up, and then you'll see in little text that the websites have divorce solicitor on that page. That's that little bit of text that's got the darker highlight, so that the eyes can see if there's relevance to what they'll find on the page for that term. And that's how we do it. I wish I could give you like an answer with like personal experience. We've had no, don't use it. We've had clients banned for it. No, it's because nobody's ever really used it for services. People are just kind of playing around with it now for the first time, trying to use it. But I've not actually heard I've not read any positive benefits from doing this either.
Mm-hmm. Great.
That's a truthful answer. I don't know, and personally, I don't want to know. I know Google well enough to know that you get burned by their gimmicks more often than you get helped. So we're not going down that road.
And you guys do keep up to date with all of the SEO industry news. So if something changes, we will let clients and people that aren't our clients know through our newsletters and social media and things like that.
I know enough to know that nothing's imploded, exploded, or dematerialized yet so far for using them. So if you want to play around with them, I would do some little tests with them. Mm-hmm. For a couple of services, and then and then wait for them to bed in and see how they appear in searches, and what real estate are they sharing SERP page space with, and take it in small steps. But I wouldn't convert your entire suite of services into products. I would go small steps, and it's something that we follow best practice. I can't take risks with my clients. You can take risks with your own self, and you're more than welcome to. I won't do it myself. Where are we? Oh, I need to go back to, is it?
I think it's the middle tab on Google to get back to the.
I can't pull it down now. Hold on. How do I get rid of that? There it is. There we go. Okay. Performance, advertise, editing products, editing. We did services, bookings. This can be handy, although I would say that bookings, I could talk about in updates because it's actually an event. I know we're really running out of time, so I'm going to hop over that to Q&A. That is something that you can actually do yourself. Like for instance, we put in this question. Sorry, on that other page, we actually put in this question and answered our own question. Okay. So this is something you can actually do and play around with yourself. I have no belief that this is a ranking factor in any way. Okay, but it's something that you could put in that might have a user experience value with human beings and their eyes and their decision-making process and looking at your knowledge panel. It's not going to improve your rankings. Maybe it would save you time or something, or maybe like in this case, 349 law firms might be the deciding factor in why somebody would pick up the phone for us. Okay, so does it have value? It certainly could have value. Is it a ranking factor? No, I don't think it is a ranking factor at all. Okay. Ask for review. I'm going to do the I'm going to do the ask for review last. Bookings, I'm just going to tell you that's an event, and we're going to go into here and add an update, okay, which will include add an event. Now, okay, I would keep events to actual events, that seminar or that training day or something you're doing, either at your even at your brick and mortar or at a third-party external event host. But they can be, you know, this is a really nice little option. It can have the photo, the dates, and even a button that could even connect to, you know, the third-party ticket vendor website, for instance. You know, it's a really useful little tool, and there's a preview button as well. So I don't know. I initially thought I would like fill out a couple of these things and show you what they look like. Can I drop this here? No, I can't. I didn't think I could. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Where is that image?
Chris, maybe this is something we do sort of a Loom video with or something, and we'll attach it to the follow-up email.
Okay. Absolutely fine. All I was going to do was show you that you know, the before I post it, I can see a preview of that exact post. Get rid of that. Oh, nightmare. Sorry. I've got these darn buttons in my way all the time. Not that one. P back. There we are. Okay. Ask for reviews. Okay, now this can be important, and probably the second most important thing I'm going to talk about today. This review, this link here is excellent because it takes people straight to where they can leave a Google review for us immediately. That just pops open, it's ready to go. Now, what are the rules about reviews? Google cannot stand and does not allow incentivizing a review. In other words, you cannot offer anything to a client in return for leaving a review, but it is 100% perfectly legal for you to offer your staff an incentive to go out and get reviews.
Yeah, that's something.
But that, you know, so you say, you know, case of wine to the person that gets the most 5-star reviews. Okay. Obviously with the caveat, as I was saying earlier, that we want real reviews. They can't be gamed reviews. They absolutely must not be gamed reviews. But if they're legitimate earned reviews from legitimate happy clients, and all you have to do is offer, you know, a case of wine at the end of a month or, you know, whatever, to have, you know, have the staff go, oh, well, you know, that one actually was a good one. I'm gonna make the, you know, I'm gonna extend myself and ask for a review here. You'll get more reviews. So don't offer any incentives to a client. You know, you can't reduce the bill or offer them a free this or a free will or anything. Technically, it's illegal, but you can incentivize your staff. So that link there is the short link to make things nice and easy. So, you know, they go right to your profile, leave the 5 stars and a couple of words, and they're out, you know, painlessly as possible. And yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about the review process. Don't cheat, don't incentivize clients. Do consider incentivizing your staff.
Excellent. We haven't had any further questions in the chat. Is that everything you wanted to cover off today, Chris?
Yeah, I probably waffled on a lot more than I intended to, and sorry about that.
No, I mean, some great advice, some great tips. We had some really good conversations in the chat, as well as people coming off and asking questions too. So I think it's been really helpful and beneficial for people that joined. We did have one question submitted beforehand. Oh, somebody's just asked one more question. Do people have to have a Gmail account to leave a Google review?
Yes.
Cool. Simple answer. I guess lots of people do have Gmail accounts, and it's not difficult to set one up.
It's you know, it's
Well, to specify, is it needs a Google account, so it doesn't have to be Gmail. So they could have set up a Google account on a different type of email address.
Oh, great.
but they will have a Gmail at that point. You know, I mean, you know, you're in the Google fold.
Great. Well, I think that covers the question off either way. So one final question we had submitted beforehand, which we didn't think was quite relevant to this session, but if you wanted more information on it, we can have a look for you. But it was on GT metrics. Spoke to Jamie, who's on the call, our head of SEO, who just answered that Gmail question. And he said that the SEO team here use a tool called Treo, T-R-E.
Yeah, Treo.sh. They're basically both tools to kind of track the kind of speed of a site, and there are lots of different tools that use it. GT metrics is a popular one, but it's not one I've used myself.
So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers the question about that. But if it's something you want to have a further chat on, please do let us know. Sorry, the bins are just being moved outside. My dog is going crazy. But thank you so much for joining the session. Sorry it's overran. We will send you out the recording. Our next session is on the 25th of May with our head of content, Ed Pryor, and copywriter Joe Markovich, and it's going to be on how AI can help or hinder copywriting, so the benefits and risks associated with that. I did put the link in the chat earlier, so if you scroll back up, you'll find it, but I'll also put it in the follow-up email. Send you the links to the articles Chris has discussed and the recording, and if you have any questions, you can drop me an email and I'll send it over to Chris or Jamie, and you can connect with Jamie on LinkedIn or myself. Chris, you're a bit more active on LinkedIn at the moment, aren't you?
Thanks to you.
So I'm going to